My name is Alma Lopez. I'm the partnerships manager for the Cal State University Entertainment Alliance. And today we are very excited to host this internship information session from the folks at Starz. We're going to tell you all about how you can get that internship at Starz. I also suggest that for more events from the CSUEA that you follow us on Instagram at the CSUEA, where you can find out all about events such as this one. And with that said, I'm going to keep it moving so we have time for questions. Well, first of all, I'm going to say keep yourself on mute, and then also we will save the question and answer portion until the end of the information session. So if you have any questions, or as you come up with questions, please drop them in the chat, and then I will be reading them off to our panelists one by one at the end. So just drop them in the chat. With that said, I'm going to introduce Lieto Addis. She's the recruiter for Starz, who is here to talk to us today about the Starz internship program. And also, we are lucky to have Sean DeFrank today, who is an intern there. So you're going to be hearing directly, from somebody there who is doing the job. So I guess I'm going to take the floor, Lieto.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the introduction, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you everyone for joining. So I'll give you my spiel, and I don't want to feel like I'm talking at you, so I'll just give you some, the rundown of the program and some information about the program as well, and then I'll just pass it over to Sean, and he can share a little bit more about his experience, and then, like Alma mentioned, we'll open it up to a Q&A. So the program runs for 10 weeks. This summer, it will start on June 15th and then go through August 21st. We'll be opening around 20 plus internship positions across all three offices, so Santa Monica, Denver, and New York. The types of roles that we'll have will really span a wide range of different types of areas of the business. So, marketing, graphic design, content acquisitions, corporate communications, IT support, content insights. And of course, these are just a few. I won't go through all of them, but we do have about a third of them that are now posted on our career site, which you can check out. And then we'll be posting the rest of the roles within the next 2 weeks. So please keep an eye out for those. Just to give you an overview of what to expect. So, of course, you're going to have responsibilities that are assigned by your manager and your team. And then outside of that, we'll have speakers from different areas of the business come and talk to the interns. You'll take part in learning and development workshops. And then, of course, you'll be able to participate in fun company-wide events along with, special intern-only events as well. In terms of the application process and what that looks like, so we ask that you submit a resume. A cover letter is preferred as well. I mean, it's not required, but I think it does kind of give you that extra oomph, if you will. And then if your background does align with what we're looking for, then we'll invite you to complete a pre-recorded video interview. And if that goes well, then you'll meet with the team. And then at that point, we will then make a decision and extend an offer. As far as requirements go, so for this year, you must be a rising junior or rising senior working towards your undergraduate degree. And then I also recommend that you submit your application as soon as possible, as we'll be looking to extend all offers by early May. Let's see. So in terms of just a few tips to think about in standing out amongst other applicants, right? So what we really look for is people who are passionate about working at Starz. So think about like why you want to work there. Think about how your background in terms of, maybe previous internships you've held or classes that you've taken or projects that you've worked on are relevant to the role that you're applying to and why you're interested in the role. And then being able to just share real examples, right? We're not expecting you to come with a ton of experience under your belt, but some examples that you can draw from, whether they be from school or again, previous internships that you can speak to during the interview process. We've also have something that's new. It's called an early careers resources section. It's on our career site right now, so you can go and visit it. It has a ton of tips, just in terms of what our application process looks like and what to uh, how to conduct yourself in the interview or what types of questions you should ask. So it's really helpful. You should check that out. Um, and I think that is about it. I'm sure there's something I missed, so happy to cover those later on in the session. But I will just hand it over to Sean over here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sean, and I worked at Starz for the duration of the 2025 summer internship. And it was a very, very, very good experience. And I worked in IT. And I just sort of wanted to talk about like the hiring process with you guys, sort of let you know my experiences with it. So um, I applied through the same sort of portal that you guys have been. I sort of joined through a program that I'm in called STEM Advantage Scholars, and they sort of like, sort of emailed the recruiters for me. That's how I got my pre-recorded. And sort of the pre-recorded questions that I had gotten were more based off of, like I think for me in IT and also probably for you in your internship, whatever your career is, it's a lot based off personality. And less so, like Lito said, instead of skills. I think for me, the pre-recorded was a lot of personality, but there were definitely some technical ones in there. And then when I had gotten into my, meet the team meeting, I remember I was as objectively terrified as I assume everyone would be in terms of, having an internship. And I sort of just, walked in there and they were three other dudes that had beards. Um, and that was a big like, oh my gosh, we're similar because we all have beards kind of moment. And I sort of found like a little, bonding thing talking about our facial hair. And we all just started chatting, and I realized that, I was not an IT kid before I did my internship, and I imagine there are some of you in the audience that even though you're applying for a certain thing, it might not be your core interest, but you're still hoping that it can be useful to you in, growing and in getting better. And I was the same way. And as I sort of spoke to them, I realized that IT was something that I really was interested in. And I ended up sort of using the opportunity just to sort of learn more about it. And I just sort of sat there just chatting with them about what they do and asking questions. And I really felt like I wanted to just keep talking to them more because they were so helpful. And just they were not what I was expecting. I was expecting to be grilled. Um, and they're, girl, unlike the technical questions, like, oh, what is this command prompt in Windows, right? Those are the highly technical questions that are, sort of hard to understand. But there was a handful of those, and I feel like I almost failed every single one of them, quite frankly. I did not have like this insane like bevy of knowledge to back me up. And every single time I'd fail, I would just ask them to explain, what the deal was and what that was and how I could be better. And they just would sort of go like, okay, and then they'd move on. So even if you don't know everything, I think it's best to just keep moving forward. And I think that helped me. And I was able to get that internship despite not, being from Harvard or being from big school. I'm from Cal State Fullerton. I imagine a lot of you guys are from schools just like that, and it worked out perfectly fine for me. So there's no sort of you're not being measured against your cred or a portfolio or your school or whatever. It's just about you and how you can connect with the team and also during your pre-recorded interview. Um, yeah, so should I talk about the actual internship itself?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why don't you go into that?
Okay. So I think first of all, I think they really spoiled the hell out of us for our internship. You can ask Lito. We did a whole bunch of really fun things. I came there, you know how they always say like, oh, do an internship and move coffee around. I would have understood doing that. Like that would have been okay for me, but that's not what happened in our internship at all. From almost day one, we were working in the company as if we were actually employees. They brought all of us interns together, and I think what was really great was that we all got to bond as if we were part of this one unique period in the company's time where we were basically we all mattered. Like they had us taking photos, they gave us like food and lunches. I mean, it was a truly we went to an escape room at some point. We did like a charity event together for team bonding. I mean, it was like sort of a party a good chunk of the time. It might be weird to say that, I know, but I mean, it was a really good time. And in between that, I was working in IT, and it was a smaller team, which was good for me because it meant that I was able to ask as many questions as I wanted, and it felt like I mattered more. They put me in charge of replacing phones for the entire building. And they also put me in charge of a computer upgrade project where I got to communicate with people in at the Denver office because a lot of the tech is situated in their Denver office. And so for me, that was very interesting because I'd never worked with anyone who was, across states before. And so we would sort of work together in our mutual programs. And I started from nothing and yet learned all of these different like ways to do this job that I had never understood before. And it was all from scratch. And I feel like it really there's a difference in when you're doing your classes in a college and from when you're doing an actual job. And the difference is that your work actually matters. And you may feel like that you might not be capable of this, but once you can just be laser focused on doing the job, you will learn so quickly and you will find ways that will impress even yourself. Like it's not like I was sitting there thinking that I have totally got this. It was just that I was gonna do my best and because I wanted to help and contribute and learn. And that was all I needed, really. There were plenty of times where I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, being IT, you literally are solving people's problems using your critical thinking skills. And if you have no critical thinking skills, then you have to ask for help. And that's what I was doing pretty much the entire time. And I was able to muddle my way through pretty much every single time and learn and improve and add more sort of skills to my playbook. And I think the same could be said of anything. I mean, when I was talking to every other intern, they started off in the exact same place that I was in, and yet they did learn as much as me. And by the end of, I mean, the first 2 weeks, it was like we were different people. It was truly, truly important because it gives you this sort of confidence that you do know that you do know what you're doing, and you can sort of use being an intern as a shield to be learning instead of having to know everything, right? It's sort of like a get out of jail free card, and I advise anyone to be using that as much as possible. Um, yeah. Let's see. Any more talking points, Lito? I'm sure there's much more to talk about, but I could yap more, but I'm sure you have something in
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. I mean, what do you feel like you gained any like I think Emma mentioned this before, like any soft skills or hard skills? I mean, you already spoke to this, but after having that time to process and reflect on your time with us, did you find that, oh, hey, I'm actually really strong in this area now?
I think for me, it gave me a confidence to well to speak of being IT specific.
Hmm.
I think that the way that you diagnose problems in IT can help anyone in any sort of computer related career. And I sort of developed the mindset of being able to break down things and solve problems a little more effectively. And also, I think that in IT, you sort of have this like you want to solve these people's problems and you want to be able to help them. And I gained the confidence to be able to go, okay, I know how to fix this and I'll go do it for you and come back. That kind of thing. And to be able to navigate these complicated sort of online systems and programs. But I think that the most overarching thing that I gained was probably confidence.
Hmm.
Like I mean, I'm truth be told, I'm just like every single person in this room. There's truly no difference. The difference is that I did an internship and you guys haven't yet. And that's allowed me to
They
be able
may
to
have,
speak.
but not at Stars.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and that's I mean it's to me it was a huge difference. I mean, and then but I think the biggest one besides the confidence is the fact that I don't know if it's like this for all of your guys's, careers, but networking. I'm sure you guys have heard that word, and I'm sure it haunts your very, very dreams. But for me in computer science, the market is terrible right now. I mean, it's I could complain about it for ages. And you need to be able to know people, but more than know them, you have to be able to trust them. And I think that Stars has really given me that. I can call up anyone on I knew the head of finance was giving me advice about like the gray areas of which you should be filing your taxes. I mean, I was able to talk to pretty much anyone there and they would give me any advice and help me out in any way. I mean, I was able to walk to pretty much anyone around me and ask them for help on different things and they would basically say, Sean, the moment your internship finishes, if you ever need us, you hit us up on LinkedIn and we will help you out. And I've never entered any other company, but I'm not sure if that's very common because a lot of them they really stuck up for me. They said, "We'll write you recommendation letters. You've taken an interest in us." And I would just sit down and speak to them about whatever they were doing because I wanted to learn. And I think that they reciprocated that fully instead of just, listening to me and then sort of shooing me off as some might do, right? I mean, and that's not even to say of the entire internship group. I mean, I literally, the reason why I got up earlier was because I was taking the photo off my wall. I mean, I have this on my wall and I see it every day. We took a whole bunch of photos and this was everyone in our group. You can see me, you can see my handsome self in the back right there. Um, and I know I could email Lieto literally anytime and ask her like, "Hey, do you have any opportunities? Could you help me about this? Do you have any sort of recommendations?" And she would because she's just a helpful lady, and they're all helpful people. And in a world in which you graduate and you're just alone and you're in your senior year and you're trying to make opportunities happen and nothing is happening for you because you keep dry applying and you're getting nothing back. Having at least some people that you can rely on is, it's your buoy in the storm, so to say. I think that having that has made me able to handle many other things in my life because I know that, even if I have nothing, I can at least talk to these people, right? And that is true, obscenely helpful, not even at a career stage, but also just at a mental level, right? And I know that all of you deserve that as well. I think anyone deserves the opportunity to be able to have that, and I hope that all of you can experience that. If not at Stars, then at somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think, one of the reasons why I really wanted to bring Sean on this call was because of his attitude towards it. Like he mentioned, it's we don't fixate on, the schools that you went to, your degree, or I should say what you studied. Do you have these specific technical skills? We're not going to fixate on that, but what we will look for is, what is your attitude? Are you excited to learn? Are you curious? Do you want to go out and meet people? And it doesn't have to be in a forced way, but, Sean made the most out of his opportunity in terms of, just saying hi to people and asking them questions about what they do. And like Sean mentioned, like I mean, you weren't necessarily passionate about IT, right? Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
so and maybe you are really passionate about, or maybe you want to go down that route where you're like, okay, I don't really want to stray far away from, what I'm passionate about. That's completely fine. But I think it was the attitude that really set him apart and made the interviewers see that, what, like maybe this guy is not going to know everything. That's okay, but he's going to want to learn. And he's going to want to be a sponge and soak all of that in. And he's clearly passionate about, the entertainment industry and what it's about and what Stars is about. So that was the biggest thing to us. Um, Anything else that you wanted to mention, Sean?
I think definitely a big thing is that they're putting out these internships because they want to help people just like you and I, you know? And I think that showing that there's like this hunger in your soul to be able to learn more and to be able to be a part of this, even just for a short time, it really helps, you know? Like I didn't know that I had that, you know, in me. Until I had gotten into the internship room, and then I realized this is exactly what I've been searching for. And I think that they're able to tell that, you know, if you truly have this feeling of like I'm going to there is no you using me for coffee. I'm going to t physically take you and squeeze out the knowledge out of you in the middle, even in this internship, even if I only see you for 30 minutes out of our entire lives, I will destroy you for everything that you're worth. That they can tell that, you know, and that is the mindset that I realized that I had. And I encourage you to let yourself run wild is what I would say. Like your true personality is what they want to see. And if you're being, you know, if you're trying to be as polite as possible and be as refined as possible, you may very well be looked over for someone who, you know, made more of an impact and sat there and was like, "Don't leave this meeting yet. Tell me everything you know, that kind of thing." It may sound like, you know, silly, right? I mean, why would these professionals who have been doing their jobs for as long as these people have, and they can be very intimidating. I mean, these are some of the most intelligent men and women I've ever met, you know? But at the end of the day, they're all people and they're all very down to earth, and I think that they value being able to see the human side of yourself as opposed to trying to please them, you know? And as for me, if I were, you know, interviewing someone, that's what I would want to see. And after that, it was I did whatever I wanted, pretty much, which was run around and scamper and ask lots of annoying questions, and it was a blast. You know, I have zero regrets. And I know many of the other interns at the time were like, you know, like, Sean, what are you doing? You know, because a lot of them were, you know, they came from Harvard, they came from different places, you know, and I just the moment I was in, you know, I knew they weren't going to drop me. And just like Lieto said, you know, I ran around and made the most of it, and I have no regrets at all. It was a wonderful experience.
Sean, I'm curious, can you just describe what like a typical day would be like from the time you checked in to the time you know, clocked out?
Oh yes. So I know someone mentioned this. So I just thought for a brief second about talk about the projects that I was working on. I think that was the biggest challenge for me is that, and this is true for of anyone that is, you know, in the program, they will give you projects that you have to take care of in the time that you are at the company. And there was no like, if you don't finish this, we're gonna get mad at you and you know, throw sandal at you or whatever. But I felt that personally it was my responsibility to get done with these things. And so I was taking care of, you know, IT tickets, which other people would send in. And so they would have different problems. You know, I need a mouse, I need help with my keyboard, my computer isn't starting up. I'm having this problem or this thing. And so I would be solving these tickets, and then in between those things, I would be doing a phone refresh project, which was upgrading the Cisco 7945 phones to I think they were like 8010s or something like that. I forget what the I used to be able to rattle this off, but it's been a little while. Essentially basically kidnapping all the phones across the company and then placing them back in our storage room and then setting them up and moving across phone numbers from the people back to the new phones, essentially. Uh, and it was so I had to learn the interface of these phone numbers, and then transferring them across, and then you know putting over their names and all these other information, so then they'd be properly rerouted to be able to accept calls, essentially. And then the other one was the computer upgrade project, which essentially involved taking their old like laptops and then basically putting them on new computers that had all of their old files. And we would do this through OneDrive and then a different program that would basically there was one for Mac, one for PC. So if you're in IT, quick side tangent, there's a difference between Macs and PCs. And I had no idea how to use a Mac before this internship, and I basically had to learn very quickly. I'd used one briefly in high school, right? But a lot of people prefer Macs. You can ask for a PC, but it integrates differently, and so most people seem to use Macs. So that's if you're a techie like me, then that can be a thing. But also, it was good to learn, right? I mean, people use Macs all the time, and so now I have that. I have that experience. So it was useful in that way. So even the more you're put out of your element, the more you will be able to learn and achieve more, right? So it can also be a good thing too. Um,
So, Sean, wouldn't you say that your days varied though? I mean, it wasn't like every day was the same.
oh no,
Even though you had a
yeah.
project that you had to manage and work on throughout the entirety of your internship, you were doing different tasks every day, right?
Oh yes, it's I mean there will be some days where you're chipping away at the same thing, that's for sure. But I mean in for our internship there was literally like, we were doing different programs and different things almost every single day, at least twice a week. I haven't mentioned this, but essentially Lieto would have meetings for us to meet different important people in the company and different other, alumni and like heads of areas of the company where they would basically give us a rundown of what they would do for their jobs, right? And so, despite me being in IT, I heard so many different, just like how we're sitting here now. We would sit at this big table in a conference room and essentially hear out from the other person about what they did. Then we could ask them questions too, and we could learn from them. And we even met the president of the company. We sat down at a table with him, and we chatted with him about what he does. And he was a very down to earth man. He just wanted to chat with us, and we got to feel like we were being shepherded around to these different important people, and we were being given a voice and being able to ask these questions. And that was a big breakup of almost every single day. I mean, I was working on my own thing. I was working on my projects. I was doing those meetings. We would sometimes, like I said, we did the charity. I still have the shirt actually that they gave us. Um, for charity, we got yogurt, we got lunches from Lido. I mean, she would give us a whole bunch of food and stuff like that. I saved a lot of money that way. That was
One of our
good,
selling
you
points of
know.
this internship is that we give free food.
Oh, all the time. All the time we got free food. We got a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, I won't even tell you how much we got because it might I'm not sure if they could replicate that for the next year, and that might cause like a stock crash or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there will be free food this summer.
Yes, there was a ton of stuff. You know, and to also sort of elaborate on how friendly everyone is, I feel like, you know, I would be walking around to people and they would literally just be giving us stuff, giving me stuff, like all the time. Like, I don't know, Lito, you'd walk to my desk and just see that I randomly had more objects from other people on my desk.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like they gave me a wine bottle and like, I mean, and they, because they had closets full of these like promotional material because they used to be with Lionsgate, right? And so I would just walk up and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you like to look at that? Here." And it's
Well,
a wine bottle,
I will say
you know,
we have a lot of swag. So,
tons of
that
swag.
it makes sense that people were giving you swag because there's oftentimes there's just swag laying around and
All just laying around.
no
I
one's
mean,
claiming it.
it
So,
was absurd. It
um,
was silly.
Alma, should we open up to questions?
Yes, I
Yes,
was about to
please.
say
Or I'll
that.
babble more.
No, no, that's great. I think they're getting a lot of really cool, valuable information. So all right, let me start. So I'll just go down the list. First question, do hiring managers look at portfolios?
Um, so when I think of portfolio, I don't know if someone, whoever answered this question is still on the call and wants to clarify, but I think of like a design portfolio. Is that what they're referring to?
Andres, if you're here, do you want to clarify that? Hmm. Okay. You may have jumped off.
So yeah, so what I would say is for a design role. So for instance, we do have a graphic design role, and we will be looking at portfolios. And again, it doesn't need to be for that particular role. It is preferred that it's someone who is at least familiar with design tools. And so we'll probably look for maybe like a very basic portfolio just to see that you are familiar with those tools. But outside of that, we wouldn't ask for a portfolio.
Okay. I think this is probably more for you, Sean. Can you elaborate on some projects that you contributed that had real world impact?
Oh, you know, I think all the ones that I helped with did. I mean, IT is a lot about the upkeep and support of the people that are in the company, it's the people need computers to be able to do their job. They need to have the phones in case someone calls them, right? And the people that take care of those things is IT. We're sort of like stewards, And you would be astonished at there are lots of people that I help that truly were not computer savvy at all, despite working on a computer pretty much all day, really. And so I think the most real impact that I had during my internship was basically bringing people in and explaining to them what I was going to do and how they might be able to help themselves and solve these problems for themselves in the future, as well as, I'm going to be doing this to your computer and let me walk you through everything that I've done, and trying to give them more control over their work environment, essentially. Um, Even if it wasn't for like this, I didn't change the stock value of the company or anything. I changed and helped the people in it. And I think that's a good chunk of what IT is about.
Great. Are there opportunities for interns to gain experience from other departments? I mean, it sounds like there are, but
Yep.
if you want to clarify.
Yep. Yep. So, I don't know, maybe this person wasn't here when I kind of gave
Yeah.
my overview earlier, but yes, we do have for this summer. I mean, they vary each year, right? But for this summer, we'll have, I think it's around 24 positions across all the three offices. We do have certain departments that sit in different offices. So, for instance, in our Denver office, that's where finance, accounting, technology sits. So any of our roles that are going to be sitting on those teams are going to be based in our Denver office. And then our LA office, we have all of our marketing teams, publicity also is based in New York and LA. Content insights, HR, I'm sure original programming. So any of our teams that work on the content themselves is also based out here. And then in New York is a much smaller office, so we tend to have 2 to 3 interns in that office. We actually didn't have interns last year because we were moving offices at the time. This year we will, but we have distribution. And like I mentioned before, half of the PR team is there, as well as insights and analytics. Um, and office services as well. Office services is across all three teams or all three offices.
I also have a thing to contribute to that is that for us, so because I'm in IT, there was not that many like, tech other things that were basically fitting for me to hop over to, but there was a very big emphasis during all the meetings that we had that, if someone working in film programming wanted to move to something else film related, they easily could have, and they could even probably just walk over and say, "Hey, can I spend a day or two?" learning and mirroring you as well, and it would have been completely fine. They talked about how there were many people who once they got their foot into the company, then they decided maybe I'll want to like do this instead, and then it was just simply a matter of talking to the group that heads that division, learning from them and sort of and shadowing them, and then sort of earning their go ahead, and then they could just move over if there was a spot for them. That was a big emphasis that I found personally pretty surprising because I was sort of, I guess I had the idea that once you apply for a job and once you get it, you're stuck there and you can't exactly move. And they really seemed to hammer home that it's really not that, at least in Stars.
Thank you. Next question. If I apply to a position currently open today and one is posted in the next week that I'm also interested in, could I apply to that one as well, or would you advise against multiple applications?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, I don't advise against it. Obviously, the recommendation is that you apply to something that you're interested in and, and are able to tailor your resume in such a way that it mirrors the job description. Um, and that would be the only two recommendations I would have, but you're more than welcome to apply to more than one.
Yeah. And another question, I guess, for me is, are all of these positions you have to be in the office, or are they partly remote, partly live, all live, like they have to be in the office?
Yeah, so there are only three actually fully remote roles, and they're not even fully remote, I should say, because we do have them come on site for a portion of the program. Those are tech positions. They're okay to be working remotely. That's kind of how we allow it, but why we allow it. But the rest of the internship positions are 4 days on site, so Monday through Thursday in the office. And then Fridays are work remote. And then we also have half day Fridays as well.
Okay, great. Okay, we just got another question that came in. For interns who perform well, what does the pathway typically look like from internship to full-time roles? Are there specific competencies or benchmarks you look for when considering interns for conversion?
Um, so there is no specific pathway. No, it's not like once the program is over, we say, okay, great, you have this job, right? So it's it's really dependent on a number of things. It depends on is there an ongoing need for your role, right? Is this something that makes sense in terms of hiring full time? Is there an opening on the team? Is there room in the budget, right? So there are a lot of different things, a lot of factors that have to be taken into consideration. I will say that we are very big on keeping in touch with our interns after they leave. So communication is big for us. We send monthly newsletters. You know, like Sean mentioned, I'm sure he still talks to people to this day. You're more than welcome to reach out to people, keep in touch with people at the company. We also have an intern mentorship program. So this allows people to be paired up with someone at the company and keep in touch with them even after the internship program ends.
Yeah,
Great.
to speak to my own sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
My own experience of that is for me so for my IT internship there really is it's a pretty small team, team of maybe like three, four, that kind of thing. And so there was a um like a contractor who was hired on. His name was Shelton, very, very nice guy. And then also I had there's also a lady who was on maternity leave at the time. And so basically when I had gotten hired on, there was like there were gaps, but they also were sort of hiring people. And they had other people who were like going to, fill that if she had come back from maternity leave and then sort of reclaimed her job, right? So for me, I think that it's a lot about, is there an open spot really is the big kicker. The internship seems to be designed to maximize your gains even if you don't get hired. So I was very thankful for that because I think maybe in the first 2 weeks I was sort of like, I need to do as well as I can in this so I don't, go broke and homeless after I graduate, right? As I'm sure all of you are. And then I sort of realized that, they're not sitting there judging you on if you're going to be good enough to get the full-time position. If there were a full-time position, they'd probably gladly give it to you as long as you were a good fit for the position, right? But it's just, for IT, it just was not really in the cards at the time. And so, I've been trying to keep in contact with the person I was under in the IT internship area, and he's been emailing me and we've been staying in touch, and I'll probably be emailing him soon talking about, because I'm a senior and I'm graduating in May, so I definitely want to try and get, apply for the right things before that time. So I'll probably be trying to, go annoy and message all the people there and see what they got for me, then I'm sure all of you will be the same.
Yeah, and I would also say that our program is really designed to set you up for success, whether it be with us or with any other company or the next internship that you take. So it really gives you a foundation because you're you're so hands-on. We're not, asking you to go make copies and to, take notes, sit in the corner, take notes, and get coffee. That's not what you're going to be doing. You're going to be fully immersed into the department, into the team, into the company. Like Sean mentioned, you're going to feel like you're like a full-time employee. So it really gives you a strong foundation um, and skills to bring into, your future career opportunities.
Great. You know what? I think I skipped over a question, but you did sort of answer this question from Jasleen Sala. She wanted to know if portfolios are necessary for marketing and content roles, and you did say that for some of those roles, you might look at some basic portfolio stuff, but overall, you don't need portfolio, right? That's what I understood.
Yeah. I mean, I've been at the company for 5 years now. The only roles that I have where a portfolio was required was for our design roles. So for, like I mentioned before, our graphic design roles. But for anything else, anything marketing related, I'm sure you've seen like maybe social media positions that require portfolio. We don't do that. It's just for any graphic design positions.
Speaking of social media, do you check people's social media
Um,
profiles?
no, we don't. We don't have the manpower to do that. We don't have the time to check people's social medias. But I would recommend that you be, and I'm sure you've heard this throughout, your careers or I should say internships or maybe, throughout school and your professors have mentioned this, that you should be professional, right? Understand that it's something that's personal to you, so at least keep it private, because you never know when something might come to, bite you in the butt. So, but no, we don't go out of our way to check that.
And we have a question from Brian. I applied for a role with a resume, and instead of a cover letter, I included a PDF of some certificates and sample of projects I've contributed during my previous internships at Paramount. Should I resubmit my application and send my cover letter along with my resume?
I think it would be helpful to have a cover letter as well. Thank you, Brian. I don't think that you can use the same email. So if you want to reapply to the same role, or you might be able to log into your account and edit your application. I don't know for certain. If they don't allow you to edit the application in the system, then I would just reapply with a different email.
Okay, does anybody have any other last burning desires before we log off? I think that might be it. Well, Lito and Sean, before we do log off, can we just remind everybody of like the deadlines and where they can go to apply for the internships? I know you mentioned at the beginning, but just as a wrap up for
Yeah,
everybody to
of
keep track.
course. Yep. So, our career site, which is careers.stars.com, you're also, I mean, if you just Google Stars Careers, you'll find it. All of our internships will be posted there. It's very user friendly. So if you click on the link, then it'll guide you to how to submit your application. We don't have, I mean, we're very flexible. We don't have a hard set deadline as to when, people need to get their applications in. But my recommendation is that you do submit it as soon as you see the posting, because we will want to make offers by early May. So just a reminder there. But of course, things happen. Maybe an offer falls through, and then we'll have to replace that position. So that's why we don't have a hard set deadline. Um, yeah, and then just to reiterate as well, we'll have I think there are 8 or 9 positions that are posted right now. There are still more positions that are being posted, but they will all be posted by March 6th.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for your time. Andrea's put our socials in the chat too, so that you can, follow us for more great, sessions like this. And thank you, Sean, and thank you, Lito, for joining us. And we hope that you get some amazing candidates from Cal State.
Yeah,
Woo.
thank you so much for
Yeah.
having us. Really
No,
appreciate it.
thank you. All right, everybody, have a
Thank
great rest
you.
of your
Bye.
afternoon.
Bye.
Good luck,
Bye.
everyone.